I'm in the process of completing my 4th van build. During those builds, I discovered 6 tools that changed van building from being a huge pain in the behind to actually a rewarding experience. This first tool is the key to building professional looking furniture without the need to spend years in carpentry school. I read through a lot of van life Facebook groups. And one of the most common questions that I've seen is people asking about buying IKEA furniture or any other sort of pre-built, relatively cheap furniture for their van build. Of course, you can get it to work. But is it actually the best solution? I don't think so. Those units are typically relatively expensive for the quality that you're getting, and they're generally made out of flimsy MDF that will swell up at the merest hint of moisture. Not to mention, MDF is really bad at holding onto screws. So, how do you build your own furniture then? The solution to van furniture is super simple. The simple but very effective pocket screw jig was an absolute game changer for us when it came to building van furniture, because it creates easy but still very strong connections. Using plywood and pocket screws, you can create really high-end European-style cabinets that would cost thousands of dollars in a store. But it's not limited to cabinets. The same concept, that is to say pocket screws, can also be used to build your sofa or your dinette setup. We used this very Craig jig tool on both our Mercedes 711D build and also our Sprinter build, with fantastic results in both cases. This next tool will make one of the most annoying furniture building tasks so much easier. If you've ever admired the smooth opening and closing of the doors in a high-end kitchen, I have great news for you. With the Craig concealed hinge jig, you can replicate the same luxury feel in your van build with minimal effort and almost perfect results. We've used concealed hinges in all of our van builds in order to replicate that high-end feel. Those hinges also allow us to maximize the size of our cabinets because they have so many different styles of hinge openings available. However, it wasn't actually until the very end of our Sprinter van build that we finally bit the bullet and spent the money for the Craig concealed hinge jig. Before then, we'd been using concealed hinge jigs, but they had always just been whatever was cheap from Amazon or Temu. But no matter what we did, we could never get consistent results from those cheaper jigs. The spacing would be wrong and the hole for the hinge would be too deep and cut through the plywood. As soon as we used the Craig jig for the first time, we were astounded by how easy it was. What had been a tedious and stressful task suddenly became incredibly easy. It doesn't look like much, but this is probably one of the best examples of how the right tool makes your life easier. This tool will save you both time and money, and that is the track saw. It allows you to get perfectly straight cuts, and it enables you to cut large sheets of plywood without having a bulky and expensive shop table saw. The name really gives away the function. In essence, it's a circular saw that runs along a track, and it has the ability to plunge into the material that you're cutting, just like this. Because this is such a portable tool, we've actually used our track saw to cut plywood in way more Airbnb driveways than I really want to remember. But this tool is not just good for plywood. We've used ours to cut laminate flooring to size and also for reducing the width of our ceiling and wallboards. A good track saw is not going to be the cheapest tool. We spent around $400 on this track saw. In our Sprinter van build, every sheet of plywood that we used cost us about $350. So being able to use every single inch of that plywood definitely helped pay for the cost of the track saw. Whatever you do, and no matter what your budget is, please do not go out and buy a portable table saw. They are a similar price as a track saw, but you're going to need the balancing skills of a Cirque du Soleil gymnast in order to be able to balance a huge 4x8 sheet of plywood on top of it and get a perfectly straight cut. Trust me, we tried this on our first van build and it was an absolute disaster. The next tool, or I should say tools technically, are the bread and butter of van building. Before I get into that, make sure that you hit the subscribe button to get more brutally honest and straightforward advice. You'll find yourself using these tools almost every single day, and a bad one will make your life miserable. You've probably guessed it by now, but I'm talking about the drill driver combo. Whether you're building furniture with pocket screws or cutting holes in your ceiling boards for lights, the versatile drill driver has your back. We've used this Milwaukee 12-watt combo for most of our van builds, and they've been more than powerful enough despite being 12 volts. In fact, if you're not careful, the huge amount of torque on this can actually seriously hurt your wrist. Strictly speaking, you could really get away with just having a drill driver, but having both a drill driver and an impact driver is a nice bonus. For example, when we install the ceiling boards in our vans, we always drill a small pilot hole first using the drill driver, just so that the screw doesn't split the soft pine wood. Having to change from a drill bit to a screw bit constantly would become pretty tedious quite quickly. This next tool is extremely versatile, and you'll find yourself reaching for it over and over again. That tool is, of course, the simple jigsaw. From cutting holes for windows in your van to making a sink cutout in your kitchen countertop, the jigsaw does everything. In fact, one of the first tools that you need to buy for your van is a jigsaw. And the good news is that it doesn't have to be fancy. If you're already invested in a tool battery system, you can of course just buy a battery powered jigsaw from pretty much every single tool maker. And when you're buying the bare tool, they're not really that expensive. But if you're not invested in a battery system, you don't have a jigsaw, and you're on a bit of a tight budget, then just go ahead and pick up an affordable corded option like this Skill one from Amazon. It's only about 50 bucks. I would actually argue that a corded jigsaw is easier to work with because they weigh less than the battery versions. For example, this 18-volt one is really heavy because it's got such a massive battery on it. And I would actually also avoid buying this style of jigsaw called a barrel grip. This one has tons of power. That's not really the issue, but I find the grip to be really awkward, and the other gripe I have is that there's no trigger option on this particular jigsaw style. You have to have really, really huge hands in order to turn this on and off one-handed. Instead of this design, I would probably go for something more like this. Most importantly, it's got the trigger, so you have full control over your tool. To save you a lot of time researching, we've created a free checklist of all the essential tools that you need for your own van build in order to get professional looking results. You'll find the link to that in the description below. Our next tool looks very imposing, but it will make a lot of your projects go quicker and, more importantly, give you greater precision. The mighty miter saw is an excellent tool for van building. Whether you're cutting ceiling boards to length or cutting your flooring to size, the miter saw does it all. We've had a bit of an off and on again relationship with miter saws. A well-adjusted miter saw on a stable and level surface will make cutting wood to length a lot easier. However, if you try to use it on an angled gravel driveway after it's been banged around in the back of your van for a few hundred kilometers, it will just drive you nuts. Our neighbor and friend was kind enough to lend us his miter saw whilst we're working on our latest van build. Because we're on a fairly level floor and the saw is sitting on a miter saw stand, that really helps to balance out your lumber. And that means that you can cut your pieces quickly and accurately. If you've got any questions about the best tools for your van build, leave a comment and I'll try to reply to every single one. This next item is a little bit of a bonus because it's not actually a tool, but every good van build project needs one, and it's really a game changer. A solid work table like this one will change your van building experience from sketchy to pro. The best part is that if you look around, you can probably get it for free. Just make sure that you have an even surface to place your table on. Nothing is level or square in a van, but your furniture still needs to be. When we were installing the drawer fronts in our Sprinter, we made the mistake of assuming that the floor in the 200-year-old cottage that we had rented would be level. It was not, but luckily the drawers still turned out pretty well. For more unique and brutally honest tips, check out our latest video right here.